Can I ask you something? I know you've heard it all, probably, but,
You lucky to be alive.
John, don't you ever climb on the roof again. Because we need you.
What is the last thing that you remember?
have you ever worked with anyone who's been abducted?
You're not yourself since you fell, man. I'm worried.
You need to rest.
I'm a grown man. I can handle this.
Makes you feel small, doesn't it?
I'm worried.
You sure you're okay?
Can you just talk to me?
Did I say something?
Shab.
None of this is actually happening.
How are you feeling? Rest.
Sean, look at me! Sean, help me!
I just want to protect my family.
From what?
This is new for you?
Welcome to the Longest Take podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Longest Take podcast. In today's episode, we are joined by Peter Cilella, actor, director, writer, coming into the scene in 2011's Resolution, directed by Justin Benson Aaron Moorhead, to which he reprised that role in 2017's The Endless, which is also directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. Recently, Peter has released his directorial debut feature film, Descendent, on VOD. Please check it out. With compelling performances by Ross Marquand and Sarah Bolger, this gritty sci-fi drama has an incredible premise that is worth checking out. And also, as always, please welcome Peter to today's episode. All right, so first things first, what are your top 5 favorite movies?
So this is tough, as I'm assuming it's tough for a lot of people. But I think as far as movies that influenced me and made an impact, I would say, so take Shelter, and I'll come back to that because that was a big inspiration for Descendant. Big Lebowski. I am a huge fan of Big Lebowski. Dazed and Confused. I saw it when I was 17. And it just hit right at the right time. And I grew up in a smaller, it was the capital city. I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, but it's still relative to major cities in the country. It feels like a small town. And so it really resonated with me. Aliens, I think that gave me nightmares. I saw it when I was 9 years old and I was far too young to see it. But it has influenced a lot of my creative choices and just things I'm interested in. And I just think it's such an amazing film. And I'd say, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I do have some films that are more current, but, Raiders for me, that movie just kind of blew my mind and it sparked my interest in history and archaeology. I knew right away Nazis were bad. It wasn't a thing that was up for debate. That I don't know why that's resurfacing now,
Right.
but it was, I think pop culture makes it, has an impact, right? And Raiders was just so good, and that, just the experience of being a kid and being in the theater and watching, that action unfold, and it was amazing. I mean, I think, there are some definite honorable mentions in there. I mean, there's so many, amazing movies out there. But recently, what's been inspiring me, a film called Emily the Criminal with Aubrey Plaza. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a wonderful film. It's like one of the tightest scripts, and it's about this woman who's, has a criminal record, and she's trying to get her life on track. And it's so well acted. It's really tense. That, and I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I actually I did an interview with Macon Blair that I'm putting out next week because Toxic
really?
Avenger.
Yeah.
I
haven't. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I love that. And I'm excited to see Toxic Avenger. But yeah, that was his first directorial, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I had seen, his act. I had seen Blue Ruin. I had seen Green Room. Those movies, which are phenomenal. That I think he did. Did he write? He wrote Blue Ruin, I think. I could be wrong. And if you'll have to.
I know. So Hold the Dark. Right,
Yes,
Hold the Dark for sure. He co-wrote that. Adapted the book. But Blue Ruin would make sense because that was he was like the focus of that. I'd have to double check.
But so when I saw I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, I was just like, wow, that movie just spoke to me in such a way that most movies don't. Like just the details of her, when she's walking in the parking lot in the grocery, outside the grocery store, and she, the car is, backing up, and it's in the trailer, so you can find it very quickly. But just these little, his attention to detail, and I just love that movie so much. Some of the stuff that I'm working on now is more kind of crime comedy oriented, and very much inspired by that film, because I think that film is just so good.
Yeah, it absolutely feels unique in what it's doing, because you don't see a lot of that. You see maybe action comedies or something, but you don't see too much of crime comedies, at least in the same vein as that, where it almost feels satire in a sense, and
right, and ones that are smart and relatable. Right, because I mean, thematically, she's just like Melanie Linsky's. She's just like, I just want people to stop being assholes, right? And we all feel that, and I found that hugely relatable.
Yeah, and I love that, because I had the same takeaway with that movie, and I love Elijah Wood just getting all these obscure roles and movies, and I love to see that.
Well, and also just the fact that his dog's name is Kevin, that little detail. I mean, we could do a whole podcast,
right?
Just glazing this movie, but I those little touches where who names their dog Kevin? I don't know. I laughed really hard at that, and it's such a dumb, silly little simple thing, but that attention to detail, that specificity is what makes these movies great.
Yeah, I completely agree. Have you had a chance to see Toxic Avenger yet?
I have not,
because I know it debuted in 2023, and then it's been held up until next week. So yeah, I didn't get to see it. I know when it was doing a festival run, people were able to see it, and then I guess we wait till next week for the theatrical. But I think that in a sense that is fitting to, if you're thinking of I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore or whatever, just in a different type of way. Because obviously Toxic Avenger it's going trauma, it's going ridiculousness, right. But I'm sure you're going to see some of that there was actually a clip. So since you were talking about the little subtleties, there's a clip I saw from Toxic Avenger where Peter Dinklage is like, he's coping with like some bad news, and he's pacing back and forth in a stairwell. And I think like somebody walks by, and it's like a little like awkward moment. I'd have to look it up, but kind of going with what you're talking about, it just seemed like a very subtle, relatable, and kind of funny moment, like a little nuance.
Yeah.
And I think that hopefully that means that Toxic Avenger is kind of going to tap into what, you know, makes I Don't Feel at Home so great in that sense, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about it. And I think Macon Blair just has a really great eye and ear for the detail and the minutia that makes there's just something a little off, a little different. And that's always what I respond to. Like, you know, as far as like TV shows and different series I watch, like Reservation Dogs is one of my favorite shows. I don't know if you've seen it, but you know, it's just so specific. It's about, you know, life on a reservation, a world I know nothing about, but universally, like, it's about grief, and that's a theme that we can all relate to. But it takes us into this world. It's super weird. It's really heartfelt. It's funny, and I think that specificity is what, you know, sets this type of work apart, and I think that's what everybody, you know, is hopefully trying to do, unless you're not, and there's plenty of stuff out there that's not specific that makes a lot of money. So,
right. And I think that, you know, the specificity, I think, helps determine whether a movie is made by committee or by one person.
Yeah.
Because usually when you get that singular vision, that's where you see more of that specificity.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see. I want to see what's inside people's heads. And look, even if you take a big swing, and I might not love everything in the film, I'm glad you took that big swing. You know, I'd rather see a film that tries and is attempting something different than just the same old stuff over and over again.
Yep, I 100% agree. Ambition over mid is what I would say.
Yeah.
And before we go to the next question, Take Shelter, I'm like low-key kind of mad you mentioned it, because when I was thinking of what Descendant reminded me of, I should have thought of Take Shelter, because I absolutely love Take Shelter, but it's another movie where you kind of have that main character who's going through stuff, and it's like detrimental to his relationships and everything. So I'm mad. I'm like, oh, because I you know, Close Encounters, Fire in the Sky, but Take Shelter, it was like right there, and I didn't think of it.
I mean, I saw that movie, and it fundamentally changed my approach to everything and what you could do and how big of a story you could tell in a contained way. And I mean, they barely show anything in that film, but it works so well because of the relationship between Jessica Chastain's character and Michael Shannon's character, and the performances are phenomenal. And so, yeah, that was, when I saw it in my head, I go, I need to make kind of my Take Shelter, and what would that look like? What would be my take on that? What would be different? What would be my contribution? And, you know, I've always been obsessed with alien abduction stories. I find them fascinating. And so that felt like a good, you know, framework. And obviously, and then Jacob's Ladder was also a big inspiration as well. But yeah, Take Shelter is a really special movie. Like, it's so well done. And I rewatch it, you know, at least once a year.
Yeah, it's incredible. And did you see it when it first came out back in, was
it
2011 or so? It was
yeah, it was shortly after. And it stuck with me. It really, because I guess I hadn't seen, you know, there's so many films out there, and unless you seek them out, right? Like, it's very easy to see all the commercial studio films. The trailers are very present, and they're everywhere, and there's billboards and things, and something like Take Shelter, you have to kind of dig a little bit. And so it felt like such a great little find, because it was so like I said, it was so compelling, and there wasn't it didn't lean or rely on visuals too much to communicate the story, and it just felt, I was impressed that it was able to keep the narrative going at such a pace where you're really, really invested, and it's just these two people just kind of dealing with his mental state.
Right. And the score by David Wingo is, I go back to that score pretty often, especially the last scene, the music in that. And I was curious. Now I just thought of it, but your short film Occupant, or Occupant, sorry if there should be an S there.
No, it's just singular.
Singular. Okay, so the last shot where the reflection on the door, you see the the floating. Was that inspired at all by the last shot of Take Shelter, where you see the reflection of the storm in the door instead of looking at it straight on? Okay, because we're talking about both, I just thought about that. But
I mean, maybe somewhere subconscious. That was actually like a nightmare I had, and
really?
I got up in the middle of the night and I wrote it down. Yeah,
that's a scary nightmare.
Yeah.
Still awesome, and just gotta give you props for that one, because that's 4 minutes, which is insanely short, but being able to time is of the essence when it comes to filming anything, and being able to do what you did in just 4 minutes, I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, thanks. I sometimes suffer from a short attention span, and so I don't want to go, hey guys, you want to watch my 25-minute short? Because I have trouble doing that myself. And so what I really wanted to do, I structured it like a joke. There's a setup and a punchline, essentially, and then I got out, and that was it.
Yeah, there's an efficiency in that I appreciate.
we didn't have a lot of time, we didn't have a lot of money, and I wanted to get in and get out and do the thing, and so that's how it ended up the way it is.
Right. All right, so you've talked before about how you aren't always strictly attached to what you've written, in the sense where, like, if an actor or actress came to you with feedback about something, maybe they thought it didn't make sense or something like that you're open to maybe a little bit of change to the script or whatever, almost like a collaboration. So I was wondering if that's something that you kind of picked up doing the acting that you've done, or if this is something that you've kind of learned to do in the director's chair, as you became a director.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes from my experience doing improv, and then also understanding that the script is a blueprint and it's not the finished product. And for me, I would rather the actor, phrase it in a way that makes sense to them, that they're comfortable saying, that they don't feel like a director forced a line reading down their throat, then stick to a specific line. If it's gonna communicate the same thing, then who cares? You know what I mean? Because if you're doing a good job at it, it should be a lot of subtext, hopefully, and so those words aren't as important. And so I just, I'm not married to any. I mean, there are certain, there's certain words that I wanted actors to hit at certain times, and the scene where Ross is melting down and yelling at his therapist, and his nose starts to bleed. I was a bit more of a stickler for what I had written, because there was a rhythm to it, and if it got off rhythm, it just didn't work, right? That being said, a lot of the stuff in the first act, that week before we shot, we were rewriting and they were improvising, and I was rewriting the first act a bit. So we realized we needed to inject more levity into it, and to, you know, their relationship. He needed to be less downtrodden to begin with, because then he had kind of nowhere to go, and so we needed to work on that. And so I let them improvise, and then I would write, and I'd rewrite stuff. And then there were certain scenes, like when they're in the car, when he's talking about business time, he's going to ink that deal, you know.
Yeah.
You know, Ross is incredibly funny. He does amazing impressions. I'm sure you've seen them.
Yep.
And I just kind of let them, I honestly let them run with like that bit. So it's a mix. It's definitely, it just needs to sound right to me, right? And I know when it sounds right. And if I wrote it and they're saying it and it doesn't sound right, then let's get it to a place where it sounds right. And so it's not like a hard and fast rule, but I know it when I hear it. And however we get to it, whether it's through the script or through improv, it doesn't matter to me.
Right. And I think that ultimately, especially when you have two characters that are just kind of riffing, I think that it helps it feel more authentic when you see it on the screen. You build that chemistry more authentically when they're able to just kind of, make it their own a little bit. Right.
And if that is the end goal, you want it to feel authentic. So don't force them to say stuff that doesn't sound natural. The audience isn't going to buy it if they don't believe it. Like, that's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. But I think that's, because you hear stories about, which David Fincher's phenomenal, but you hear stories about David Fincher, Stanley Kubrick, these filmmakers that are like so like, I guess you could say like anal about their process. And they'll do so many takes in a row until it's like, until they feel like they got it right. And then you have that more, open element, I guess, with kind of how you tackle it and other filmmakers tackle it. And it's kind of funny how you could be on both extremes, but still have like a really good product. It's just, I think it's a matter of understanding your audience, and not audience as in who's watching your movie, but who's there on set with you. You got to feel it out a little bit, I think.
Yeah, and also for me, it's less about the audience, externally or on set. It's more about is the process. And I want the process because it's hard for everybody to make a film. But I want it to be as enjoyable as possible. And I want every cast member, every crew member to feel like they have agency and to feel like they are contributing and that I'm not micromanaging everything. Again, I have a distinct vision for what I want this to be, and I will say no to things, of course, but I want to have that conversation because it's fun. It's play for me, right? Like, and I'm extroverted and I spend a lot of time writing by myself, right? And so when I'm on set, I love that collaboration. That is, injected straight into my veins. That's what gets me excited. And we all kind of come together and come up with something, far better than any single one of us could.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. And to kind of jump a little further back to Occupant for a second. So, that got into Fantastic Fest. And after that, I had heard that you were working on making it into a feature, and then COVID hit, and then people were disinterested, and you kind of, you went on to something else. Is that accurate? What was the story? Yeah. What was the story behind that? And like,
I turned in a first draft and they fired me. I mean, I was like, okay. I mean, it wasn't different from what I had pitched them and what the treatment was. I think what happened was somewhere along the line, they fell out of love with the project and decided to just cut bait. And so, will I return to it? Probably not. There's a lot of redundancy as far as, themes and fatherhood go with it. and also it was a doppelganger thing, and
Mhm.
and Us had just come out, and so I just think it just wasn't like the right time. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer because I really thought like that was the thing I was gonna hit, and so I had nothing, and I was unemployed, and you can kind of see that in Descendant because it kind of seeped into the script. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and is that when all that fell through, is that when you had it you submitted it to Dust? Because I think Dust, the upload, it says 2023.
Yeah, I don't know why. No, it was already no. So what happened? We did it. It premiered it in like 2018, and it was up at the end of 2018.
Oh, I gotcha.
So they might have I don't know what happened. So we parted ways in the beginning of 2020, and then I started writing Descendant, and I was sending it because the rest of the guys were involved in Occupant. They were involved in the short and the feature version, and then I started sending them ideas for Descendant.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. And how did you plan on, I guess, exploring more of that world that you introduced in Occupant? Like, was it still just going to be a small little family story, or would have you kind of opened it up in the similar way as Us?
I'm trying to remember, because here's the thing: is I tend to, if a project dies, I don't keep it in my brain.
You just let it go. Yeah, that's fair.
Also, COVID screwed up my brain and my sense of time. I don't know if that affected you too.
Oh yeah, same here. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when people are like, wait, when did that happen? I'm like, there's like, before COVID times and after COVID. And so, yeah, I just kind of, jettisoned it from my brain. But if I remember correctly, it was basically, it's a young family, and the son goes missing for like 24 hours, and he comes back and he's different. And he's behaving strangely, and they I think there's one weird scene they find him up on the roof of the house. He's just chilling out. It's really strange. But the premise is, which I still think is a cool premise that I may revisit in some shape or form, which is that we are being replaced. We have failed as a species, and we are being replaced by basically an upgraded version of ourselves. And so this kid's kind of been upgraded, essentially. And I don't really remember what happened with the rest of it, because I was like, all right, you guys don't want to make the movie. Fine, I'm moving on.
Yeah, and that's entirely fair. But I mean, even just that premise of being replaced, that could be something if you tackled like a larger, sci-fi project, that could be just like an element of a larger thing, if you wanted to work it into something later.
Yeah, and I've toyed with some ideas, some things that are a little more commercial. I don't know. I mean, because it feels like it's never not relevant. I mean,
right.
You every day you turn on the news, you're like, we failed as a species. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. We've totally fucked this up. So, yeah. Can I say that? Is this?
No. You're good. Yeah. You could swear. It's all good.
Yeah. So I think a lot of that was just my frustration with, just reading terrible news stories and just going, God, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's as topical as ever right now. So if you wanted to jump back into it, it'd be a good time.
Yeah, I don't know. I that's why I wrote a crime comedy, because I kind of want to I want to escape a little bit, and still have something relevant in the theme, and something that's that people can tap into, but still have fun. I don't want to I think Descendant, it ends in a hopeful, hopefully everybody, realizes it's a hopeful ending, but it's not like a feel good movie. It's not like it's I don't know. So I'm trying to do something that is just more of like a fun theatrical experience.
A little more levity,
Yeah, well, because I loved watching those scenes in Descendant that are funny. Those are like some of my favorite scenes, and I was like, oh, that's fun. I want to have fun again. I want more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to, I guess, the opposite end with that gritty sci-fi aesthetic, I noticed a lot of similarities just in tone between Occupant and Descendant. I know you talked a little bit about just for Occupant specifically seeing shitty news stories and being like, where are we as a species? Why do we suck so much? Are there other things that kind of like, inspired you to go towards sci-fi in general, or even a more grounded sci-fi approach?
Yeah, I mean, look, sci-fi and horror are like, I mean, I grew up on the Twilight Zone. The 80s. I'm not that fucking old that it's but right. But I went back and revisited, but like there was always a morality tale, there was always a lesson, and I think sci-fi especially is in horror, they're very powerful tools for communicating a deeper theme and a moral without preaching to your audience in a way that others can't. And I would also argue that comedy and satire do that as well. I've always seen comedy and horror as like two sides of the same coin. I mean, you look at Jordan Peele, what he does. You look at Zach Krieger, right? Krieger?
Yep.
Yes.
Kreger? I think it might be Kreger.
The weapons guy, the barbarian.
Yeah, yep.
He came from sketch comedy. I think they're really wonderful vehicles for having some sort of moral or message, wrapped up in there. I always, feel like it's the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. You don't want that lecture, but you want to be entertained. At the end of the day, you want to be entertained.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny with how great comedians are at horror, because when it comes to comedy or horror, they always say that it's tension and release. Yeah. Tension and release. Like you get it in both genres. So that's how you're able to just slide right into the other perfectly.
Yeah, but be careful when you mix horror and comedy in one thing, because horror comedies are very difficult to pull off.
Yep, I completely agree with that. And when it comes to sci-fi, I feel alone with this all the time, but Jordan Peele's Nope, I think, is currently his masterpiece, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies. What did you think about Nope?
For me, nothing will ever live up to Get Out. We talk about the specifics and just his eye for, specificity, like every detail, even the reference of like, there's black mold in the basement, or, he picks the cotton out of the chair to plug his ears, just like all of those details. That film just kind of blew me away. And also, you don't see usually when you tackle things like racism, it's rarely liberal white racism,
right.
It was a fun and revealing look at that. These people who are like, oh no, we're cool with that, but just not in my backyard, and I was like, oh wow, that's I think it was just incredibly smart. And Nope, for me, look, you watch it all depends on the mood you're in too, right, when you watch the film. And I enjoyed it. I just never, I don't know. I never fully look. I think everything he does is fantastic. I'm not, but for me, Get Out, I don't know. It just, it hit on every level, and it felt the most grounded. But I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Nope.
Yeah, so I completely agree about Get Out. I think honestly that is just, almost as incredible. But when I saw Nope in IMAX, the cinematography by Hoyt Van Hoyten, he partners with Nolan all the time. His just the cinematography of Nope,
the day for night stuff.
That stuff is incredible. Yeah. Every shot is so wide and open, but it looks it's fantastic. I love, like, it looks like a landscape painting often, and I really enjoy that Jordan Peele gave us like a Jaws in the sky. Like, I love monster flicks, that's a big thing that I love, but the way that they did it with Nope, I was just so blown away by it. And I love that the climax of it is shot in the daytime, and I love how it was all. It felt very unique to me in a way that the message it had on spectacle, I think, was genius too, and how that went parallel with the story with Steven Yeun's character and the spectacle of Gordy, and just that's a movie that like I said, a lot of people, rightfully so, they idolize and they love Get Out. Us is kind of like the bastard child a little bit. I don't hear too much at all about Us, but I love it too, but it's not the same,
Right. But going back to my original point, I would rather see him continue to take big swings, even if I don't, because I think the dude's a genius, and I don't have to love every single thing, but that doesn't take away. Who cares what, and I think that's wonderful, and I wish that there were more opportunities for filmmakers to take those big swings, even if it doesn't always work, because it doesn't have to, and that's fine. It's art, it's subjective. But yeah, I think for me, and maybe it was just like because Get Out was his first, that I have such a soft spot in my heart for that film.
Yeah, I agree though. It's fucking awesome. I need to revisit that one, because obviously I watch Nope every couple months or so, but
okay. Oh wait, sorry. The one thing I will say about Get Out, which I think the reason why it's top of the list for me is because I think it was because it was so grounded and so familiar, and then took it to a place that was so bonkers, right?
I love when movies do that. I think that's one of my favorite things too.
Whereas Nope just felt foreign, it completely, like, it was just such another, which is great too. Like, but I think it was like, it lured me in to this familiar, because I grew up in, kind of a little bit more of an affluent, like, progressive white, where maybe you just never, and I know a lot of, progressive white people who, on the surface, they might say one thing, and do the other. And I think for me, that social commentary, I think I respond to those things. And again, that's, everybody's different, but I think that's what it was. It's just like, I was like, oh, he called them out. I was like, I haven't seen them be called out in many things. And I was like, well, good for him. Because, the not in my backyard thing is a real thing.
Yeah. It really shows how performative it is as opposed to actually being progressive. Yeah.
That's the word, the performative progressivism, which is, there's a lot of it. And so I was like, I appreciated that sort of that takedown of performative progressivism. And hopefully you can edit this interview a little bit so I land on that point a little quicker.
Sooner.
A little sooner, but thank you. That's what I was getting at. Yes. Yeah.
And I love how, in a scene that people bring up all the time, is I would have voted for Obama for a third term. Like, it's the subtle things like that you'll only hear it from a performative progressive.
Yeah. Those people need to be taken down a notch. Right?
Yeah.
They're a little annoying.
Yep, I completely agree with that. But sorry to get us back on track a little bit. You know, I already talked about Fire in the Sky and Close Encounters and how Descendant all kind of, to me, you know, felt similar in that wheelhouse. And we talked about sci-fi influences. You know, you talk about Twilight Zone. What about books? Have you gotten into any sci-fi literature, perhaps?
You know, I don't read a ton of sci-fi. There's too much of a pause between read and too much. I don't read. No, I don't read a ton of sci-fi. I'm reading the Silo series now.
Okay.
Because the TV show, I didn't know, but like I actually did, and I started watching it and I got hooked. And I was like, well, what happens next? I was like, well, I can't wait for the next season. I need to get the books. I've been reading. Yeah. So as far as influences, literary influences for the film, not as much. Again, I'd say Take Shelter and Jacob's Ladder, and obviously Fire in the Sky with the alien abduction, and also just reading stories of alien abductions. Those were the big, you know, kind of inspirations. But I'm trying not to. I'm not reading as much sci-fi or dystopian stuff right now because I read at bedtime and I find it bums me out. And so I'm reading a lot of Carl Hiaasen right now, who did Bad Monkeys, the TV show, one of his books. That was the Vince Vaughn show. I don't know if you saw that.
No, but I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, and Hyacinth's like, you know, really good satire. Because I'm trying to end the evening on a good note and laugh a bit.
Yeah, that's, I completely understand. I need to finish Silo. I started it, and I'm really bad about TV shows. I always get behind and then I can never like make time for it, but Apple Plus has been doing a good job with sci-fi book adaptations.
Yeah, Foundation.
Yep, Foundation, which I heard, I haven't watched that one too because I suck, but the first season and maybe second were like not good, but I'm hearing the most recent is actually pretty solid. Dark Matter, I read the book, I haven't watched the show yet, but Blake Crouch was a part of the process of creating it. Silo, I always hear great things about the show Silo.
It's good. It's a little slow, but it gets going, and the performances are great. Tim Robbins is great. You know, like it's and Steve Zahn shows up. It's always fun when
awesome
when Steve Zahn shows up in something, because I think he's hilarious. No, it's good. Yeah, I've been watching that, and then trying to read lighter things these days.
Yeah, I should take note. I just finished, finally, I read The Exorcist, which it was great. I love it. Yeah. And then I'm reading Legion, which is a reread, which is William Peter Blatty's follow-up.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Exorcist 3?
I have not. I've only seen the first one.
So the second one sucks, but Exorcist 3, it's like a cult classic with a lot of people, and it's based off his book Legion, which I'm currently reading. But yeah, you know, it gets a little dark with those. I should probably try a little bit, you know, more positive stuff, but hard sci-fi and horror is like, those are my favorite things to read, and it's not always positive.
Well, yeah, and I can't, again with the sci-fi, I can't really do it before bed because one of the things that scares me the most is infinity, space.
No way.
And and that's how Justin and I really bonded many years ago. Justin Benson. I could spin out. You know, I saw Event Horizon. I don't know, whenever it came out, and that ruined me for a couple weeks. That was really bleak. But I think if my mind starts thinking about space and time and all of that, I won't get to sleep.
Yeah. So. You know, I mean, I'm not glad to hear you say that, but I can relate because when I was a kid, before I knew what like Oblivion was, I would like keep myself up at night thinking like, what happens when I'm not here? I'm thinking, but can I think if I'm not here? And it's just like, sorry to bring it up, but it's just elementary school me was thinking about this, and like nowadays it's terrifying.
It is. I don't know what that is, and I've met a few other people like I talked to my wife, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't even think about that." Doesn't.
How can you not though? Like,
well, right. And I'm like, wait, that doesn't like keep you up at night, like thinking about like nothingness and what if I didn't exist and would I be sad? Well, no, I couldn't because I don't exist. And then you start spinning out, and I'm like, that doesn't. She's like, no, don't, like, you know. And I'm like, I wish I could. That's amazing. I wish. I think some people's brains, though, it's we're wired to. I don't know what that is. I would love to do. Actually, that's one thing I would love to do is a sci-fi horror film that deals with infinity, and I just don't know what that is, though.
Yeah, let me know if you start writing something like that. I'll give you some ideas with just what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
because it's terrifying. It's terrifying, but that and it's. Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say that's why I love cosmic horror so much, like H.P. Lovecraft type stuff, because when it comes to cosmic horror, it deals with the unknown, and a big element of that is this idea of nothingness and scary nothingness, and Lovecraft was kind of tapping into that a little bit.
Totally.
And hopefully you don't spiral tonight. Hopefully I don't spiral tonight either.
I hope not. I think I froze. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Yeah, you're good. I'll watch something funny before I go to bed or something like that. But I mean, like I said, not happy that you go through it, but happy that I could relate to someone who's going through it. No,
it's nice to meet a fellow infinity phobe. I don't know what there's got to be a better word for it, but you know, I think there's more of us out there. Yeah,
I agree. And you mentioned Justin Benson a little bit there, but you know, just I know that you played obviously a prominent role in Resolution, to which you returned in The Endless to play that same character. What was your introduction to Benson and Moorhead? And I guess, you know, just take me to the beginning with how you met them, how you got involved with Resolution, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so Justin was my aunt's assistant like 20 years ago. And he was, you know, an aspiring filmmaker. And I was an aspiring actor. And she's like, you guys should meet. And so we did. And he cast me in some short films and some spec commercials. And Vinny was in a couple of them from Resolution. And we just had sort of an instant chemistry. And so he wrote Resolution for me and Vinny. And we rehearsed for months beforehand, which was amazing. And we got to discover our characters, and then went down to East San Diego County, out in the middle of, it's kind of meth country. It's a little weird out there.
It seems like it with the cabin and the look. Yeah, I can imagine. That's his dad's cabin, and unfinished. I don't know if they finally finished it, but it was unfinished for quite some time. Yeah.
And so we did it for nothing, and it got into Tribeca, and it essentially launched those guys. You know, the spring. And I came back for The Endless. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was having, you know, so I was starting a family, and I was writing, and I was doing a little bit of acting here and there, but, you know, my phone was not ringing off the hook. And so I was writing a lot, and I just kept writing. And then, you know, developed this short with those guys, and that's kind of, you know, our trajectory. But yeah, I've known them. I mean, yeah, I mean, I've known Justin for, I think, probably 20 years now. And then Aaron came on board a little bit later, and then Dave Lawson for Resolution. So,
Yep.
Yeah, they're the first stop whenever I have a script or an idea. I go to them and say, hey, what do you guys think? They have a very specific brand, and not everything that I want to do aligns with that. But yeah, I there's no one I trust more on set, with my ideas than those guys. And so if I could do every film with them, I would. If I could have the same DP, Alex, for every movie, I would. The same first AD. I mean, they surrounded me with an incredible cast and crew, and I would work with everybody in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And I love how Rustic Films are like, it's like A24 and Neon when it comes to indie horror. But they're doing it for like sci-fi. Like Things Will Be Different, Descendent, all of their films, it's like this very grounded sci-fi. And you don't see that really getting picked up by anybody else too much, because it's such a niche thing. So I think that I think it's great that you have somebody out there who, they're tackling those types of projects because they're so rare.
Yeah, and very few companies can pull off that kind of weird sci-fi genre bending thing, and that's become they have a very specific, I don't want to say brand because then it makes it sound corporate, which they're not, but They do. They have a very specific identity. They have a very specific they have very specific tastes, and it's fun, and I hope they keep doing it. And
yeah,
I think
maybe after your comedy thing you're doing, jump back and make another sci-fi thing with them or something like that,
Yeah, I've got some things I'm tinkering, with, but they might be involved in that one too in some capacity. The crime comedy is a bigger budget that, I think we would need a few different companies involved. And, if I could have Dave Lawson on set for every single one of my movies, I would, because again, like, running the day to day, like he just gets shit done. Like, equipment shows up, I don't know where it came from, for that rooftop, the abduction scene.
Yeah,
we had drones, we had cranes, they called the city and shut off a street lamp, and like I don't worry that things aren't going to get done, you know what I mean? Like, and so that's a luxury, because as a first-time director now, all I have to worry about is performance and the story, and that's all I should have to worry about, right? Because I have exceptional people around me. So yeah, if I can get them for everything, I will, but we'll see what happens.
Right. And I forgot to mention this too, but on top of you being in Resolution in the Endless, Sarah Bolger, who is in did I say that correctly? Is it Bolger? Yeah. Bolger, okay. Yeah. She's in Descendant, but she's also in Things Will Be Different, which is another Rustic film.
Yes.
And I think it's a smaller role that she's in that one, but it's just, I love seeing the crossover. It just shows that you've got like this one strong team, or this group of people who work so well together that they're like, hey, I'll help out with your stuff, or, let me join onto your thing. It's great to see, I think.
Yeah, and Mike Felker, who directed Things Will Be Different, was a PA on Resolution. It was his first job out of college.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
And Felker edited Occupant for me, and Yael did the sound for Occupant. He did sound for Resolution and sound design. And so, yeah, like, here's the thing is, like, yeah, when you find people that are talented and you like working with them, you don't want to let them go. Like, it's there, because searching for, like, it's a bummer when one of your guys or one of your, you know, trusted crew, like Katie Simon, who did all the artwork for Descendent. So, you know, art department, production designer. You know, she worked on The Endless, a few other she worked on Something in the Dirt. Thank you. You're gonna edit this a little bit, right? So I don't sound as rambling.
I mean, I could, but I think it takes the charm away, man. Because like,
is it charming? Is it charming
yes,
when I sound dumb? It's charming when I sound dumb. Great.
I wouldn't say sound dumb. I just think it sounds authentic, right? If you want the authentic take, you don't want like the corporate, super edited, cut down.
It's late and I had to turn off my air conditioning, so I'm like melting down.
Oh no!
I didn't want the sound, but I'm doing my best.
I appreciate you.
No. So you know, Katie, I wrote this. You know how you write films for actors, you write a role for an actor. I wrote this film for Katie and her art, because I knew that she could draw these incredible drawings, and I knew I wanted to, you know, deal with this head injury, and sudden savant syndrome was something that I had researched. And you know, you could be great at piano, or you can, you know, some sort of artistic ability, but I was like, no, it needs to be these visuals. And so Katie, you have to do this movie. Like, if we had lost her, I would have been devastated, because I wrote this movie, you know, with her in mind. And I think that's the wonderful thing. You know, their motto at Rustic is make movies with friends. And it's not just lip service, it's a real thing. And when you find these people who are wonderful human beings, incredibly good at what they do, you just want to keep working with them over and over again. Yeah,
and I love that. And that, I think, you know, hearing that before you go into a movie, it makes you appreciate a movie more, just knowing that genuine chemistry everybody has on set with each other.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's like, yeah, you want to get money for the stuff you're making, but, you know, you want to make something great, and you want to make it with people who are great.
Yeah, life's too short to work with assholes.
Exactly. If you meet someone, they're an asshole, be like, all right, I don't have an obligation to work with you, so I'm not going to. But, you know, kind of speaking to that, you know, between acting and directing, what have been like the most challenging things you faced on set? And I would say after that, what's been the most rewarding thing?
I think challenging on set, like as an actor and as a director, I think I find acting more challenging because in some ways, because I have to maintain my energy and there's a ton of downtime, right? And there's pressure, and I felt a taste of that when I had my scene with Ross, you know, in the back of the house, and he has his closure with his dad towards the end of the movie, because we were running out of time. We didn't have a lot of time. We actually had to get Ross to the airport to get to one of his conventions, and we had like 3 hours to shoot everything at that house in the desert. And that's what it always is with an actor, right? It's like they take all this time to set up. There's a lighting problem. There's a sound issue. There's whatever issue. There's all sorts of issues. There's always something. And so the actor has no time to deliver. And so you have to be ready. And so I've been on both sides of that. And then, you know, there's so much downtime between your scenes. When you're doing that, what I love about directing is it's easier to keep the energy level up because your brain is constantly engaged and you're constantly making decisions. It's also very challenging and taxing, you know, when you've got a million different departments coming at you and asking you, what do you think? What should we do here? This doesn't work. We need to do, and you just have to be firing at all times. And so by the end of the day, you're exhausted, but it's a satisfying exhaustion. And I was just, and I've said this in other interviews, you know, I was so grateful that this film actually got made because it was shut down for a year. It took a while to get. It was just like, and that's not unique. I mean, every movie has a series of struggles and obstacles that they had to go through to actually get it made. But I was like, the little things didn't bother me. You know what I mean? I was just like, that's fine. You know, I'm grateful, like, this is happening. And yeah, I think, I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, you talked about the challenges, and then the rewarding piece is, you know, it's that good kind of tired you get at the end of the day, right? And if the accomplishment, right? I'm guessing that's kind of...
Yeah, and it's also like, it's a privilege, man. You get to make a movie. Like, how many people get to do that? Right?
Yeah, it's a miracle. They always say a movie getting made is like a miracle because there's so many things that can go wrong. So when it's done, it's like, don't take it for granted. It's a miracle that it even happened.
Yeah. And I worked my butt off to get it made, and a lot of people, you know, worked their butts off to get it made, and yeah, every day I was just like, this is great. Like, even on the hardest days, I was like, this is awesome. I'm making movies. This is such a privilege.
Yeah. And I relate to that in the sense of, you know, my day job, I work at a factory. I've been working at factories for probably 15 years at this point almost. And a big piece of working there, especially when I used to be on the line, is troubleshooting. A lot of troubleshooting. A lot of like, hey, we need to hit this. We're not hitting it. We got to like figure it out. Problem solving, all that fun stuff. And I've been ADing for a little bit on sets, and even being a PA. My favorite thing about being on set is when stuff's going wrong and trying to figure it out. Yeah, I live for that shit. So, like, you know, everybody else is kind of stressed, and I'm stressed too. But I'm like, all right, now let's figure this out. That's my favorite part of the day. Is like, okay, let's get this done. You know,
it's super rewarding. So on the line, I worked on a factory line at one point too.
Oh, really? I was for a while. I was a wrapper machine operator at Mars Ice Cream.
Nice.
And that was fun. It was chaotic, but it was, you know, I appreciate my time there. And now I'm actually working at a chemical plant where we batch paint, but I'm a safety, I'm a senior EHS specialist.
Okay.
So I'm like the safety environmental guy or whatever. So it's not as fun anymore, but there's still a lot of, on the corporate side, there's a lot of, you know, problem solving that has to happen.
Gotcha.
Where were you at?
I was in rural South Carolina working. So right out of college, I needed temp work. It's like the summer after college before I started a job. Actually, I didn't have a job yet. I don't know. I was like, I don't know. And so I was like, I don't really want to do like white collar. Like, I don't want to be in an office. So I signed up for a temp agency that was the opposite. So I delivered furniture, and then for I think like 3 or 4 weeks, it was like close to a month, I worked at a industrial fan factory. And so I would assemble like these big fans, and the bolts and everything, and I'd put the mesh on, and it would come through my line. And I've had a lot of really I've done just about everything. That's great experience to have. It is,
because even, you know, just in my short film experience, just like what I've learned throughout the years of working on like an assembly line or even like a corporate office type gig, like you could apply almost everything you've learned in those fields to filmmaking, because it's like at the end of the day, it's kind of the same shit. It's project management 101, right?
Totally. And there's a lot more human interaction, right? Because I've done like, you know, corporate, you know, job, like I've been assistants, and I've done, you know, those like office job, like everything from fetching mail to being a courier for a law firm, and you know, I think just kind of like being out there, like working with, you know, different people, and I think there's huge value to that. That I don't know. I hope doesn't get lost with all this AI stuff and
Yeah.
you know, like you know, you need to get out of the house and you need to be around people.
Yeah,
I
agree.
That's why I love being on set, because it feels to me very there's just like there's very much a working spirit to it, and everybody is busting their butts. And I think, you know, the value of hard work, I don't know, I just think there's a huge value to it.
Yeah.
And there's something really satisfying after a hard day of work, because it is very physical. I mean, yes, I am sitting in a director chair for it's
Right.
But you're still, I think your brain is so engaged, and you're not sitting at a desk. I think that's what it is. You're not sitting at a desk, you're outside, you're working, you know, and you're up and you're moving and you're doing things, and I think that's way more satisfying than a day sitting at a desk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. My current job, you know, I'm at a factory, but I'm in an office at a desk for a lot of the day, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's hard.
I also put on more weight in that job when I was working, like on the line. I lost a lot, but since working there, I've put on a lot, and it's just like, you know, it's sure, a salary is great, but you just, you know, being down in the dirt is always like,
I mean, you got to work on that posture, man. You got to stay on top of that too, right? Like, because when you're at a desk, you're just like, you just
slouched over, and ergonomics are still a thing, you know.
You need one of those standing desks.
Yeah, one of the managers in my building actually got one of those, so you could stand up. Yeah, and at a previous job, they used to get these like walking pads, like little treadmills to put underneath the desks.
Oh my god.
So some companies like Mars would do that so the people in the office could stay active or whatever.
Well, they're stealing samples.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, that would be a hard place to stay in shape, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, frozen candy bars are amazing.
Yeah, except I will say that peanuts, like the bags of the peanuts they have for like the Snickers, the bags themselves smell really, really bad. Like the raw bags, it smells like kind of like poop in a way. Just like if you ever, like, I don't know when you would ever come across just like bags of like raw peanuts, but yeah, it's not a good smell.
Okay.
I don't like it. Yeah, maybe if you buy a Snickers ice cream bar, crack it open and take a sniff. Maybe it, I don't know.
Oh boy.
But all right, so you know, we're at the end here of the, you know, the interview and everything. So what I like to ask here at the end is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, whether personally or professionally.
Hopefully in a place where I'm working consistently enough so that my wife can retire and we can pay for the kids' college. I just want to work. You know, I think that's always been what is, when I feel the most satisfied, is honest day's work for an honest pay. You know, I just like, it's hard when you work freelance, when you work on spec and you do a lot of things for free. I mean, that's when I'm most satisfied. So I just want to make a living doing this, and I will feel like a giant success.
Yeah, and that's the dream, right?
Yeah, just pay the bills. I mean, honestly, I mean, at this point, like, don't we all just want to pay the bills? I mean, the bar is pretty low right now for success and the American dream. I feel like, you know, we just we just want to keep the lights on and keep the AC flowing. Exactly.
And being able to do that, doing something you love, that's it right there.
Yeah.
How old are your kids or kid?
2 of them, in middle school, 11 and 13. So, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's challenging. Do you have kids?
I have one. He's 6. Today was his first day of kindergarten, so it was a big day for him.
That is big. Yeah. It's you just want to be able to, make sure that they have you set things up better for them than you had, and I think, my generation, our parents had it pretty good mostly, and so that's what you try to do.
Yep. We can
It feels harder now though.
Yeah. There's definitely some obstacles out there, but at the end of the day, we are what they grow beyond, right? That's the goal with them is, build them to be better than us.
You hope.
Yeah.
You hope.
But awesome. I love the conversation. Before I let you go here, I want to give you the floor again, but this time, if there's any social media pages, websites, anything you want to plug. Obviously Descendent is now on VOD. Yeah, good. Just go ahead.
You can find me at Pete Cilella on Instagram. That's generally what I check. I'm on Blue Sky. I don't remember what my handle is. I don't check it as regularly. I'm not on X.
Good call.
Yeah, it got weird.
Yeah.
Got a little weird over there. I think, and just, Descendant is now available on basically every digital platform. You can rent it. It's still in a few theaters, I think, somewhere, but
yeah, I think up until probably this weekend it was still playing by me. Actually, I got it on VOD, but I wish I was able to see it in the theater, but with the kiddo, it's schedule's hard. Yeah,
I know, but in the theater with the sound design is incredible. The guys at Anarchy Post did such an amazing job, and then the score by Tyler Strickland is phenomenal. And you can find the score on Spotify.
Oh, perfect.
And yeah, I highly it's such an incredible score. We were so fortunate to get him, and so that's and if you like the movie, tell your friends. If you don't like the movie, you can just not say anything and
just stay quiet.
Just go about your day. But yeah, independent films, we rely on word of mouth. So
yep, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for joining. I love talking with you, and Descendant was great. Occupant's great. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.